Picture this, a quiet, sun-soaked cul-de-sac in an upper-middle-class suburb. Every lawn trimmed to perfection. Every driveway spotless, except for one. Number 47. A house with a slightly faded fence and a driveway that always seemed to host one too many cars. The whispers started small. They don't care about community standards. But when the HOA president, Deborah Klein, a woman who treated her title like a crown, decided to make number 47 her personal crusade, things escalated fast. Letters, fines, public shaming in the HOA meetings. The family at number 47 wasn't just being punished for weeds in the yard, they were being singled out. And soon, the entire neighborhood would pick sides. At first, the Martins at number 47 tried to play along. They paid the fines, fixed the fence, even repainted their shutters. But Deborah, the HOA president, wasn't satisfied. She started patrolling the street twice a day, notebook in hand. She documented every little violation. A trash can left out an hour late, a patch of lawn that looked too yellow, even the teenage son's old pickup truck parked in the driveway overnight. At every monthly HOA meeting, Deborah called them out by name. She'd smile sweetly at the other neighbors, then slam the Martins with a list of infractions. Soon, whispers spread. The Martins weren't just messy, they were ruining property values. And Deborah knew exactly how to twist the knife. By the end of summer, what started as lawn complaints had turned into something else entirely. A community-wide vendetta. The Martins finally snapped. Instead of quietly paying fines, they showed up at the next HOA meeting with evidence. Photos of Deborah's own violations, her backyard shed built without approval, her daughter's car blocking the fire hydrant, even receipts proving she used HOA funds for landscaping, but really hired her cousin's company. When they stood up and read it out loud, the room froze. Neighbors exchanged uneasy glances. Deborah's smile faltered for the first time. Her voice, usually calm and cutting, cracked as she tried to shut them down. But the Martins had planned this moment. They handed copies of the evidence to everyone in the room. The HOA meeting turned into a spectacle. Some neighbors defended Deborah, but others, those she'd fined in the past, suddenly found their voices. It wasn't just the Martins anymore. It was the whole neighborhood. The cracks in Deborah's perfect control had begun to show. The tide turned fast. For years, Deborah's authority had been untouchable, but now, the room buzzed with anger. Mr. Patel slammed his fist on the table, reminding everyone how Deborah fined his wife for hanging a bird feeder. Mrs. Lopez, usually quiet, stood up and said, Deborah humiliated her over unapproved paint colors. Even though Deborah's own shutters hadn't been painted in years, every story added fuel to the fire. The Martins just lit the match. Deborah tried regaining control, threatening lawsuits, waving the HOA bylaws in the air. But her words carried no weight anymore. The neighbors who once sat in silence now looked at her with disgust. The power she had built on fear was dissolving, slipping through her fingers in real time. And for the first time since moving in, the Martins realized they weren't alone. It all boiled over at the next HOA meeting. Deborah walked in with her usual smugness, binder tucked under her arm like a weapon. But this time, the chairs weren't arranged in neat rows. They were in a circle, everyone waiting for her. The Martins didn't hold back. They pulled out a stack of papers, emails Deborah had sent, each one dripping with intimidation and personal attacks. They read them out loud. Neighbors gasped. Mr. Patel shouted, "Enough is enough!" The room erupted. Deborah's face flushed red, her voice cracking as she tried to shout over the crowd. But the louder she got, the more the neighborhood pushed back. Then came the words that silenced everything. "We're calling for your removal as president, effective immediately." For the first time in years, Deborah had no reply. Deborah's grip slipped faster than anyone expected. The Martins had already contacted the HOA board, circulating petitions through the neighborhood. Within days, over 2/3 of residents had signed. Her allies, once loyal, now distanced themselves, afraid of being dragged down with her. Rumors spread like wildfire. She'd been skimming HOA funds, funneling money into repairs that never happened. Every whispered suspicion became a shouted accusation. When Deborah tried to confront her neighbors, doors shut in her face. Cars slowed to stare. The once feared president had become the neighborhood's biggest scandal. One final letter arrived on her doorstep. Effective immediately, you are removed from your position as HOA president. Deborah didn't show her face for weeks after. The Martins stood on their porch, sipping coffee, watching kids ride bikes down the street again. The neighborhood finally felt normal. But behind closed curtains, Deborah watched too. Her blinds barely cracked, her silhouette frozen. She wasn't gone, just waiting. Whispers claimed she was preparing a lawsuit, that she'd come back with lawyers and vengeance. Others swore they saw her meeting with a new group of homeowners, plotting her return. The Martins knew one thing for sure. In neighborhoods like theirs, power never disappears. It just changes hands. And Deborah wasn't finished.